Hello YouTube and welcome to my channel. In today's episode I will be building a reverse proxy server that will sit in the DMZ and will provide CRL and OCSP services to the internal and external network. This video is part of my series on building an enterprise network, and if you're new to the channel, please remember to subscribe, and if you like this video, please do click the like button. Alright, so before I kick things off, I wanted to go over the architecture of the public key infrastructure that I plan to build. Within the AAA network, I will be building a root certificate authority, an enterprise certificate authority, a OCSP and CRL web server, and then in the DMZ, I will be building a reverse proxy, and the reverse proxy will provide the internal and external path to the web server. So when clients check into PKI.secnetwork.org, it'll hit the proxy and then go through and hit the OCSP and CRL web server. So the first thing I'm going to do is set up the DNS for the reverse proxy server. So I'm going to go into /zone/secnetwork.org. Then here I'm going to create a record, and the a record is going to be for the proxy server, which I'm going to call HQ PKI proxy. And the IP address is going to be 10.0.21.11. And then I'm going to create two CNAME records. One that's going to be PKI, and that will be pointed to proxy server. And then I'm going to create one for the OCSP. And we're going to call this OCSP. And again, I'm going to point this to the A record that we just created. So we have our A record for the proxy server and PKI and OCSP. I'm going to close this. All right, so now I'm going to jump into vCenter. This authentication to log in and start deploying the reverse proxy. All right, so I'm going to deploy this using CentOS template. So I'm going to create a new virtual machine. I'm going to call this HQ PKI proxy. And I'm just going to be in the SECNET data center on our host. We're going to leave the defaults for storage. And I'm going to leave the, actually I'm going to power it on. Next, click to finish. And while this is completing, I'm going to jump into the management server. So now that I'm in the management server, I'm going to sudo over to ladmin. So now that the server is up, I'm going to go back to the management server and SSH into 10.0.51.250. I am in, sudo to root. First thing I'm going to do is edit the network IP address, and I said this will be 21.11. So the IP address is going to be 10.0.21.11, and then the default gateway will be 10.0.21.1. I'm also going to change the host name, so I'm going to use host name ctl set host name hq pki proxy.secnetwork.org. Then I'm going to shut down -r now. So as that reboots, I will go into vCenter and change the network that the server is on. DMZ. So I'm going to show a few updates that I made to Ansible. So in here, I added the proxy group and I added an HQ PKI proxy. And I created a new role that I called reverse-proxy. And inside of this role, there's really just one task. And in this task, what I do is install the NGINX web server, install the SE Linux policy core utilities, and then we move the pre-written proxy config file that I wrote into the correct path. We allow HTTP through the firewall. So then we update the HTTPD network connect for SE Linux that traffic can pass through. We enable the NGINX service and start it. And I can show the file. So the file has two server blocks, one for PKI, which will point. So if clients hit pki.secnetwork.org, then it will hit the internal PKI web server that will host the PKI files. And the same thing for the OCSP. It will point to the web server /OCSP. So now that that has been displayed, let's see if we can do an Ansible -m. Actually, an Ansible, we want to do proxy -m ping, see if we can connect to the proxy server. We can. So I'm going to run a few of the playbooks. So I just want to do an ls on playbooks. So we're going to run these probably. So I'm going to do Ansible -playbook -l proxy playbooks install default packages. Let this run. All right, so now that that is done, I'm going to run. Let me just run patch real quick. This should still be up to date, and it is. And now I'm going to run cronny time playbook to update time. And lastly, I'm going to run the domain join playbook, our password from our database, and I shall return once this is completed. So it looks like that has been successful. So now I'm going to run the role for reverse proxy, so tasks, and then main.yaml. All right, so it looks like we had a service that failed. So what I'm going to do, and then SSH over to that server. So HQ proxy, HQ proxy. All right, so this failed for good reason. It cannot connect to the HQ PKI web server, which is good because it doesn't exist yet. So I'm going to call this a success. The next thing I want to do is open up the firewall for the server we just created. Jump over to grab the password. All right, so now that we're in, I'm going to jump over to policies. And I wanted to point out that I did do some maintenance offline in terms of policy, trying to color code the different zones and boundaries. So, and I started to also group the policies into sections here to manage rules. So click on WAN. These are all the rules where a server or service is going out to the internet. And then down here are the 3 rules that I created from the admin server that need to talk to the rest of the network. So where I'm going to place this rule that I'm creating now. So I'm going to create this rule under the Active Directory rule. I'm going to call this SECNET HQ PKI proxy. Spell that correctly, PKI proxy. OCSP-CRL. I'm going to change this to a interzone rule. And this will be for everything on SECNET that needs to talk, that needs to be able to pull down the CRLs or get the or communicate with the online responder. So we're going to add in the AAA. We're not going to add it in DMZ because the server sits in the DMZ. I'm going to add a management, security, the server network, user network. I'm not going to add in VoIP because VoIP isn't going to leverage any certificates. I do believe I have to create a address. hqpki proxy.secnetwork.org. Its IP address will be 10.0.21.11. Did it again. So this is actually not going to be that. It's going to be SECNET HQ network. So anything that's from these subnets that are within the SECNET HQ network is allowed to go and talk to the network on proxy. The applications will be web browsing and OCSP. I'm going to leave the application defaults and then the default here. All right, so our commit is finished, or at least it's finishing. Okay, so the commit is complete. All right, so that's going to conclude today's video on building a reverse proxy server. If you enjoyed the video, please click the like button, and if you want to see more content such as this, please do subscribe. Thank you.